Okay. Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. We're joining us through our Facebook Live. Welcome to today's special webinar on the occasion of International Day of the Girl Child. I am Anisha from the Secretariat of Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation is a survival-led network established in 2019 to amplify and strengthen the advocacy for dignified menstruation globally, which initially emerged from Global South. For further information on who we are and our work, please visit our website www.dignifiedmenstruation.org and our official social media channels. As we mark the International Day of the Girl Child, our theme, the Unspoken Emergency, Dignified Menstruation, calls attention to an urgent truth. Dignified menstruation is not a privilege, but a fundamental human right. Every menstruator deserves the freedom to live without shame, barriers, or fear. Menstruation should never stand in the way of education, opportunity, or confidence. Today, for this discussion, we are joined by the incredible voices from Sri Lanka, Kenya, the Philippines, and Nepal, who will be joining us soon, who have been working passionately to challenge discrimination, create safe spaces, and advance dignified menstruation in their communities. Let's start by introducing our speakers. From Sri Lanka, we have Semini, a DM Global Virtual Fellow 2025. Semini, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. So, hello everyone. Greetings from Sri Lanka. My name is Semini Pereira. I currently work at an organization called Women in Need based in Sri Lanka that supports women and girls affected by gender-based violence in my country in the projects and advocacy. Through my work, when it comes to dignified menstruation, I have seen how deeply the stigma and the silence can affect women's well-being, confidence, and participation. That is not just in health, but in education, work, and in their ordinary day-to-day public life. Yes.
From Kenya, we have Vincent, who is also our DM Global Virtual Fellow. Hi, Vincent. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you, Anisha. So I'm Vincent Olwanda from Kenya, and currently I'm working as a gender and equality lead at Eco Climate Vision Kenya, where I integrate a gender responsive approach into climate change. As my past or what I'm doing when it comes to dignify menstruation, I have lead a lot of campaigns to ensure that the girls and who are in both primary and secondary schools get to get the information by also involving the men, because it has been an issue when it deals to talking about menstrual discrimination. So we are trying to build that campaign to really do away with the shame and the stigma that relate to it. Thank you.
Thank you. From the Philippines, we have Julian, President of Girl Act Philippines. Could you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon here in the Philippines. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am Julian Elena Pitumbali, the president of the Girls Act Philippines. So I'm sorry if my background is, I'm at the convenience store because we just finished our International Day of the Girl Child event here in Tondo, Manila. So what is Girls Act Philippines? So basically, we are a girl-led organization in which we discuss sexual reproductive health and rights, dignified menstruation, comprehensive sexuality education, HIV awareness, and such to the youth. And also, we focus more on the girls.
Okay. Thank you. Now from Nepal, we have Deepesh, who is a coordinator of DMC Nepal Kosi province. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, Namaste. I am Dignified from Nepal, Usu province, and currently studying Master of Public Health. So it's a really honor to be with this program. So currently we are doing various activities such as history drama, advocacy through sports, as well as rallies, and is advocacy on the local level. We are doing lots of small task activities in order to advocate the dignified menstruation, especially in the Kosi province, to the adolescents, boys as well as girls. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I warmly welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us for this conversation today. So let's just jump right in our session. So to begin with, I want to start with a personal question for all of you. Understanding personal genres can give us a powerful foundation for the discussion. So my first question to each of you is, at what age did you first learn or heard about menstruation? And what was your first reaction to it? So why don't we start with Semini?
Yeah. So I first heard about menstruation when I was around 11 years old, just before I actually started my MNAC. It came up very briefly in a science lesson in school, but there wasn't much explanation beyond the biology of it. You know, the social part of it or how we feel, none of it was there. It was purely biological. Nobody talked about how it felt or how it feels or what it really means for a girl to go through that period. So when I personally got my first period, I honestly felt very scared and confused. I thought I'm going to bleed my whole life until I die every day. So many confusions. I didn't fully understand what was happening to me really, to my body, but I didn't know who to talk to. However, at my home, unlike to many families, it was an open topic. I could speak to my mother, but deep down, I knew it was something you keep quiet about. You don't about it much, really. So the feeling of embarrassment and fear, and that's very common experience for many girls in my country and most of South Asia.
Mhm.
Looking back, though, I realized that the silence around menstruation made it seem like something shameful or a secret. Only the women folk spoke about it, that also in a hushed tone, rather than a
Yeah.
completely natural part of life, which it really is. So that's why I feel like today, the International Day of the Girl Child, it's so meaningful that it reminds us how important it is to create safe spaces, conversations where girls can, speak and ask questions, like actually feel proud of what's happening to them and how
Mhm.
it's the most natural thing in life. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Julian, now will you please share yours?
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Okay. So for me, I was 6 years old when I knew something about menstruation. So it was the time when I was actually in the bathroom with my mom. So I saw her underwear smeared with blood. So as a kid, we're curious and often ask the things we see. So I asked her,
Mhm.
bakit may dugo, ma? So it means, why is there blood on your underwear? So I also asked her, are you okay? So she said she's fine, completely okay. It's just period blood. So during that time, I felt scared because when I see blood, I associate it with something painful and has a wound. That's why I believe that having menstruation hurts and really painful. So today, in the International Day of the Girl Child, um, we hear these stories. Earlier we heard similar stories like this one.
Mhm.
So my reaction to that was like my experience was totally normal. So that having a period is normal. It's a human biology. Yeah, it's human nature. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Now let's hear from Vincent. How did you first heard or learned about menstruation and how did you reacted to it?
Okay, thank you. So my first time when I learned or I heard about menstruation was around 12 years when I noticed that my older cousin could not go to school, but I myself, I was going. So she was just put alone in a room. Nobody is seeing him. The only person that she could talk to was my mom and the younger siblings who were ladies by then. So I was curious, and I felt it is good for me to ask what is really happening, because for me, I never felt she was sick. Then the explanation that came was not that clear because it was incomplete. But later on, I came to know that it was menstruation. So it was in her period. So it could not really go to school because of that shame. So for me, my first reaction was that I was so anxious and confused. If it is normal, then why should he be put alone, like isolated from others? Yet it is not something that needs some, like it is not a disease uh, or something that is big to be isolated from others. Now, for me, I felt like there is a way that this issue of menstruation is being discussed, or it is being talked about to bring more fear and secrecy among among those people who live. So I think this particular webinar is a very nice webinar to really and unfold this shame and fear and the stigmas that are being brought by menstruation. Because as we talk about girls and women being leaders, but we are not really breaking these stigmas, I think we are still very far from meeting that reality under the theme of this particular year's International Day of Girl Child. Thank you.
Thank you. Dipesh, let's hear from you. How did you know first about it? What was your reaction to it?
Thank you for the question, Anisha ji. So honestly speaking, I I was around 14 to 14 or 14 years old in a seventh grade. When I first about the menstruation, I was in to the my teacher. Uh, teacher said that it's important for the exam, so you should memorize it, and I memorized it. Honestly, I was not much aware of the menstruation that time. I grew in the family of where three male in my wonderful home lives. So looking back, I have seen some signs. There were so few days, the one where she woke up early before the sun, take bath, stay away from the Jakota. And also, I hear that from the community that when um, during the menstruation period, when someone touches the tree, the tree will die. And similarly, it is forbidden to puja, as well as the no entry to the kitchen. They have to eat in sleep outside. Um, I was not much aware in my adolescent period, but when it was the first time when I go to the college, my bachelor for my bachelor degree. Then suddenly changed my the friend circle of mine, boys, girls, all began to discuss on the menstruation. Here I meet my wonderful friend Samir Pariyar, the national coordinator of Dignified Menstruation campaign. He told me, then we discussed about the menstruation. We discussed about the dignified menstruation. Living with the dignity during the menstruation is the fundamental right. Then I learned from about it from here. Then we do series of program. And it was the time. It was the time I learned. It is the very important topic to discuss on. And wonderfully, I get the chance to come. To participate in the third program, third program by Rutherford Foundation. And there, I realized I should work on this field. This is very, very necessary. So that overall to be said, I learned, I heard a bit about in the years of around I was 13 to 14 years, and currently learned about it during the recent 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so thank you everyone for sharing your. As you shared, we learned that we heard or knew something about menstruation from as young as 6 year old. So Moving on to the next question to continue forward our conversation, let's talk about your understanding of menstrual discrimination and restrictive practices that are followed during menstruation in your community. Okay, so this time to let's start with Semini. How do you understand menstrual discrimination and what sort of restrictions are followed in your community?
Yes, Anisha. So, to me, menstrual discrimination is any form of unequal treatment, exclusion, or stigma directed at someone just because they menstruate. Could be anyone who menstruates. So, it's not always visible or it's not spoken. Sometimes it's hidden in our local traditions, different beliefs, even in the people, the way people avoid talking about it, the silence around it. So in Sri Lanka, this takes different forms depending on the community and the culture. Some girls and women are told not to enter temples or attend religious events when they are menstruating. Others are discouraged from cooking or touching certain foods, like different parts of the country, depending on where they come from, or participating in family functions. So there are also smaller or unspoken restrictions. For example, feeling that you have to hide a pad or, or stay quiet if you're in pain, not speak about it or ask for painkillers or help or whatever. Because something, it's seen as something very shameful, especially if you talk about it in front of men, it's a huge no-no like that. So what's painful is that these practices often come from the belief that menstruation is impure and that the idea has real consequences. It limits girls' confidence and affect their education mostly, the mobility, and altogether reinforces gender inequality. When a girl feels excluded or less than because of her period, she's utterly helpless because it's happening to her no matter, her discretion. And it affects how she sees herself and affects her confidence. And that stays with her. And it's inculcated when she's very young and she carries that to her adulthood. So that's extremely sad. And so through my work, I've seen how normalizing menstruation is simply talk about it, nothing else.
Mhm.
Like simply talking about it can make such a difference. When schools or workplaces break that silence, people begin to question these long hidden, long held ideas about the silence around menstruation. So that's where the change starts in these everyday conversations, nothing else. There is no magic in it. It's just you talk about it and you talk about it loudly. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. Vincent, as a non-menstruated leader in gender equality, how do you see menstrual discrimination? Also, can you share a few of the restrictions in your community?
Okay, for me, I see menstrual discrimination as a violation of human right, and it's also a barrier for sustainable development goal concerning education and health. And if I could just state some of the discrimination, I've just categorized my discriminations into three, which is economical and structural, and then the social cultural, which Sayanya just talked about more on issues to do with restrictions and
Mhm.
also stigma that are related to menstrual discrimination. So I'll just talk about the economical and the infrastructure discrimination that always occur, more so to women and girls during the time of menstruation. So when we talk about economical, for me here in Kenya, most of women and girls face a lot of challenges when it comes to accessing the menstrual product. This is due to the cost that is really imposed on this particular product. This has been revealed by the statistic that the World Bank gave, that about 65% of girls and women cannot afford sanitary products. This has really caused them to use an healthy product, an healthy or unhygienic product. And you and me understand, but that by using this, they are exposing themselves to a lot of
Mhm.
infections, which are going to affect their life, and this is what is also affecting how we are perceiving it to achieve this ESD. Then when you talk about the infrastructure discrimination, my understanding and based on my country, Kenya, uh, so far we lack a lot of infrastructure, more so when it comes to wash, that is the water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities. Because when you go to most of the high school or the primary schools, these facilities are not there. So you get that most of the girls, they face challenges when it comes to changing their pads. They cannot do that because they feel that their fellow colleagues who are non-menstruators are going to laugh at them. And you know, when somebody has felt that you are just there, but you are not comfortable about what you're doing because you feel that there is a reaction that is going to come after it. Now, for me, I think the biggest thing that is there is issues to do with the infrastructure, and if that could be improved, I think we could really avoid the issues to do with the discrimination. And I won't talk much about the socio-cultural discrimination because it has been talked, but this is where we have stigmas as menstruation has been viewed as unclean or impure. So um, people have been seeing it like this is not something well. When this person is particular menstruating, he should not even go to certain crops because they are seeing that blood to cause it to die, which I don't know the fact behind it, or they are not supposed to prepare some food. They are not supposed to go to some particular places.
Mhm.
Now, if I could support this with some of the restriction that are in the context of Kenya. First of all, I'll talk about exclusion in terms of involving the girls and women involving themselves into religious practices. This has been supported highly with two of the counties in Kenya, that is Garissa and Kwale, with 91% and 94% respectively. They avoid girls and women from attending or being involved in certain cultural practices or even religious practices. Now they are restricted from entering certain place. Maybe if I finish, we have restriction in terms of participating in day-to-day life, such as maybe girls are being avoided from doing other home work, so they are not allowed because they are considered unclean and they are not supposed to do that. One which is not that much. I've supported this in when I talked about the infrastructure facilities. School absenteeism has become a very rampant where a girl has to miss school for 3 to 5 days in a month because he is menstruating. But this can be avoided when we really look into it and provide necessary education to both the menstruators and the non-menstruators about issues to do with stigma and discrimination, and just try to tell them that this is just a normal issue and it is not something that is unclean that you need to avoid.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now I think I'll end my sharing there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vincent. Julian, can you share your thoughts on menstrual discrimination and the restrictions in your community?
Okay, so I see menstrual discrimination as the shame in menstruation and negative practices associated with menstruation. So it often leads to restricting and excluding a menstruator or a girl in doing something that is usually normal, such as going to school, going to work, religious practices, and more. So here in the Philippines, we do not have much that of restriction as far as I know. But when menstruators have their periods, especially when it's their minority, they're obliged to smear period blood to their
Mhm.
faces to avoid having pimple breakouts. So it's a
Okay.
cultural norm here, and oftenly the elders teach these norms to younger generations. It's quite funny, but it's not practiced anymore. And yeah, so another common restriction here is when menstruators have their period, they are often told to stop doing strenuous activities or participate in any kinds of sports because they're often seen as weak when they are menstruating. So, which is kind of completely wrong because
Mhm.
menstruation shouldn't be an hindrance in doing in our everyday lives.
Mhm.
So menstruators are not weak when they menstruate. Yes, we feel pain because of the cramps, because of the premenstrual symptoms, but that doesn't mean we are weak. So we also experience similar restrictions, same as the other speakers said, such as we are shy when we are buying menstrual pads because we often think that it's shameful to do so. And also, sometimes we are shy as well to go to bathrooms to change our napkins. So yeah, it's high time to change that mindset because having menstruation is just it's a normal thing that girls experience, and we should educate the non-menstruators as well that this is a normal thing that girls experience.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Now moving towards the best. As a non-mensurator yourself and campaigner of Dignified Menstruation who has been organizing campaigns in Kosi province, can you share the journey that you faced in this journey during your advocacy or awareness campaigns?
Thank you for the question. So, it's being non-mensurator in the campaign of the dignified menstruation in the Kosi province. The biggest challenges I think I faced has been the consular pushback. People often ask me, Dipesh, I'm being a man, you are talking about the dignified menstruation. That is a woman issue. You are
Mhm.
speaking against our culture, tradition, norms. You should be ashamed that you are in this field. They often ask me such question. My response is that the only thing that should be we should be ashamed is the silence that creates the stigma. So this is the major pushback I have felt. The similarly the another challenge is that mm, even in the place we didn't expect there is a knowledge gap. We often do the programs at the school health program. We often find the teachers themselves who are not fully aware of what truly dignified menstruation means. During our session, no, we focus on both advocating girls and boys in the same room
Mhm.
on the same topic, but um, the teachers often thinks that it is a sensitive topic and advocating them in a same room is a shameful activity that should be hidden away. That is the major other major challenge we face. And other in next challenge I think is a personal discomfort when
Yeah.
I began to I began to talk on this topic in my household, in my community, in the society, even along with my male friends. They often see discomfort in themselves. They don't want to talk on this topic, and they don't want an honest open dialogue on it. So that is another challenges we are facing right now. And the other challenge is the police at the policy level. We try to advocate to the local government that dignified menstruation is more than just distributing the free menstrual pads. It's about living with the dignity, but they often seems to think that distributing the menstrual pad will automatically fix the menstrual problems, so that they don't want to listen our voice. These are the major challenges we are facing in our journey right now. Yeah, we are trying to fight on this. Uh, that's all.
Okay, thank you all of you for your powerful insights. So, what you have spoken about highlights that menstrual discrimination is not just about restrictions. It is deeply rooted in our knowledge, in our cultures, and power structures that it creates. From your first experience of menstruation that you shared, shows how personal journey shapes our understanding. So studies have also shown that from the age of 6 to 9, we learn something or we hear something about menstruation. Yet, in many contexts, as you have shared, as we have experienced, this learning is shrouded in discrimination. So, this is not accidental. It reflects the deeper system of patriarchy and unequal power construction that governs knowledge, reinforcing non mensurators as superior and powerful, while mensurators as inferior and weak. Menstrual discrimination is a kind of manifestation of these unequal power structures that we see in our society. They influence who gets to speak, who has access to dignity and equality. So, understanding this makes our next set of questions even more important because now we are going to, talk about solutions. So, how can we individually and collectively, as both mensurator and non-mensurator, challenge this system and create environments that honor dignified mensuration? So, my final question for all of you is, from your perspective and experience, what strategies or roles should be undertaken so that we can create a dignified menstruation friendly environment within the individual as a menstruator and as a non menstruator? How can you provide that environment in your family and in community level? So, let's hear from Semini. Based on your experience, what strategies do you think shall we perform or undertake to create dignified menstruation friendly environment in our homes, in our schools, in our community?
Yes, so I completely agree with the question. I believe that creating a dignified menstruation friendly environment has to start small. So, with the individuals, then to the families, and then to the community at large as a whole. So I personally had a very supportive family background when it comes to
Mhm,
when it came to my first menarche and thereafter. At the individual level, not everybody gets this opportunity or gets this comfort. So we need to start working with the knowledge and the mindset change at the family level, because that's where most children are prone to develop their new
mhm,
thoughts or attitudes. That's where the attitudinal change can start. So education is the foundation, not just teaching girls what menstruation or is, but helping them understand that it's normal and it's a very healthy process. If you're menstruating, you're healthy. So for all menstruators. And it's equally important to educate the boys so they grow up with the empathy and the respect instead of keeping
mhm,
silent about it or behaving as if, okay, it's not my issue, it's not my problem. But, and also sometimes with the misunderstanding or the teasing around it when it comes to men. At the family level, so we must encourage open communication. Parents should talk about
mhm,
menstruation without embarrassment or any secrecy. When girls can tell their fathers or their brothers that they need the menstrual products, without
mhm,
fear. That's the dignity in action, so that they don't have to whisper to their mother or to sister. They tell their fathers or brothers directly that I'm experiencing this, so I need help, and I'm in pain and I need help. So families can also model equality by sharing the responsibilities or respecting the privacy and treating menstruation as a part of normal life. So that's where the families can start, thereby the individual level, because families are like the where the attitudinal change starts. And thereafter, at the community level, we need stronger systems of support. This
mhm,
includes schools with the proper facilities, clean toilets, because a pad in hand means a little if there is no safe door to close behind it, and access to menstrual products. Many Sri Lankan schools, they still lack safe, girl-friendly toilets, female-friendly toilets when it comes to schools, and with no proper disposal systems for wastage or limited wash facilities. So it's been hundreds of years, but still no community or no government has taken actions to talk about, because just like my fellow speaker mentioned, that they think providing menstrual products is the ultimate answer, but it's not. There's so much around
mhm,
it. So without proper disposal options, they like use pads end up being buried or burnt and discarded unsafely, contributing to both environment pollution and different health risk. At the same time, many girls are forced to wear the same pad for about 4 to 5 years, and they return home simply because school washrooms are not clean or private or comfortable enough for them to change. So these practices can also lead to infections and, like different rashes and, repeated, risk of serious reproductive health issues. So this is why it's very important the community has to come together and discuss and open conversations about that. And also, I would like to highlight how understanding menstruation and menstrual health is important when it comes to employee well-being in workplaces. That is also, kept very silent because nobody wants to talk about it, because sometimes leave is not provided for employees at the community level when it comes to workplaces because it's not a good enough reason. Your pain, it's very normal, just ignore it. I don't want to talk about it. The employees are not understood. And because of that, they are becoming a problem in the workplace, and they might not, like be recognized for their own capabilities just because you are a menstruator. So there are many issues around it, and open conversations are extremely important when it comes to community. And then there comes the religious leaders also, because they also have a very
Mhm.
powerful role to play, like I mentioned in the earlier answer, that how there are so many myths and taboos around menstruation, and most of them are inculcated by religion and culture. So they have important role to play by reinterpreting cultural practices in way that promote inclusion and respect. So finally, at the like the broader look at it is education and health and gender equality. So this connects to all this, the broader rights. So dignified menstruation should always be understood. This is just not a women's health topic. It's a human rights issue, right? And it reflects how much we value or place menstruators, how much value we put on them. So that should be recognized. And today, most importantly, as we mark the International Day of the Girl
Mhm.
Child, we should commit to creating an environment where every girl, every woman, every menstruator, regardless of their background, manage their periods with confidence and safety. So it's a long process to it, but I think we should keep hope. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Vincent, what should be the role of non-menstruators to create a DM-friendly environment on your, how do you think, or what could be the role of non-menstruators?
Okay. For me, I think we have a very great role to play so that we create a safe environment for menstruators, because this conversation is not a one-sided conversation. It involves all of us. So we must live, or we must move from this thing of just acknowledging, but we need to take measurable steps to really make sure that we create this space that we are yearning for. I think some of the points that I needed to put have been really mentioned by my previous speaker, but I'll just stick on some few because it is something that has been seen over and over, where when it comes to issues to do with menstruation, you see girls going alone, and it is happening in our communities. Like you see, we want to really teach girls about issues to do with menstruation. Now, they go alone, they are being taught, but where are they coming back? They are coming back to these boys who are going to teach them, they are going to harass them. Like in our case, you see, they are going to be told, like, you have started menstruating. Some of the terms are not that being accepted well. So you see that, okay, for me, menstruating is something that is not, it's not right.
Mhm.
Now, we need to start by a conversation, and as non-menstruators, we need to advocate and be the champions for education, where we have to normalize this topic of menstruation by creating some safe and unshameful signals that will help our girls and women feel safe. I know most of the girls have uh, most of the adolescents have that information, at a tender age. So they really have that information about menstruation in schools. But how are they accepted? How are the non-menstruators accepting them? So we need to have that inclusive conversation when it comes to issues of menstruation, but not just taking a session because you are a menstruator. We give you the information, but we are not considering which environment are you going back into. Also, we have to really deliver this information to even our families, as it was earlier spoken. Secondly, what I could say is that we as menstruators, we have that role because most of the time we are the policy makers, we are the resource mobilizers. Now, let us also take that great role of also advocating for full and effective implementation of the government policies that concern issues to do with menstruation, so that it is not just a conversation, but it's also put into implementation, and not just implementation, but effective implementation for that case, so that we don't go on speaking about the same thing over and over. Secondly, we also have to hold the institution accountable for consistent provision of the facilities. Like the main challenge that I've just realized across it is the wash facilities, where yes, we have the products, but when it comes to now, where are you going to change? It is not there. What are some of the services, like the water is not there? You have changed. How are you going to make sure that you are hygienic, you are clean, so that you are not at risk of getting the menstrual diseases that may affect your life. Then, if I could just finish, we have this issue where uh, girls had to trade for sex. Now it is called the transactional sex. And when I talk about this as menstruators, we have a very great role because we are the people who are involved in this. We know that during this time or this period of menstruation for a lady, they are always vulnerable. So we take that vulnerability and use it to really benefit or to really achieve our needs. Now, as non-menstruators, I think we have a very role, a very strong role and a moral obligation to ensure that no girl has to trade for their body for fundamental necessities like menstrual products, because also our sisters, they are our cousins, they are like our part of our family. Now, by just having that conversation and understanding it, we cannot use that vulnerability of someone else to satisfy what we want. Now, lastly, is we have to ensure, because I know most of us here are doing a great role in our societies, in our at grassroots level. Now, this conversation must be at the grassroots level. Let it be known to every person that menstruation is not something which is not, it is not abnormal for someone to menstruate. It is just a biological process, and let them understand it well. So by understanding it well, both the menstruators and the non-menstruators, without avoiding any part. The only problem that we are doing is we are avoiding some. When we talk, when you talk about this, this particular gender is not supposed to be there. Now, let us convene this conversation to all of us, and also ensure that the WASH infrastructure budget are both captured in the national and the county level. So by that, I think we can really make, if not a great step, but a step toward achieving the needs of the menstruators. For me, this is a collective role for all of us. It is not for just a uh, particular individual or particular community or particular institution. It is just a collective role. And by doing that, I believe that we are
Mhm.
going to move somewhere. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Non-menstruators have equal responsibility to create a dignified menstruation-friendly environment, be it at home or school, community, even at policy level, influencing the policy or lobbying for policy. So thank you, Vincent, for sharing your perspective. Now to Julian. From your experience, and you have been a leader of Girls at Philippines. So what do you think is the most powerful strategies to mobilize young people to join the dignified menstruation movement?
I think the most powerful strategy to enhance the discussion for dignified menstruation is actually I agree with another speaker earlier that it should start at the individual level, going to the family level, and then at the community level. So in our organization and the community level, we do community outreaches and mobilization to schools, universities, and communities. So the girl leaders and I share our experiences and learnings about dignified menstruation. So we break the stigmas and taboos surrounding it, and we empower young girls and women to take action, and also we empower them to be the best version of themselves and influence this knowledge to other people as well. So we highlight that girls are extremely capable in doing every single thing that they want and dream of, and nothing and no one can stop them in achieving what they want. So in the Girls Act program, we girl leaders, we also support young girls. So basically, it's girls support girls. So we support girls in all ways, as always. So that they can have a brighter future ahead of them.
Okay, thank you, Julian. Okay, so lastly to Dipesh, who has been actively campaigning for dignified menstruation. So, what do you think could be the roles of youth to create a dignified menstruation friendly environment? And as you mentioned earlier, that even the local level are reluctant uh, to create a safe space or for to allocate the budget for dignified menstruation. And how do you think youth can involve themselves in lobbying for this, for budget allocation or for policy at the local level?
So I believe that we are the generation that is capable of ending this cycle of the uh, same. So I think the first role is to be the we should be the advocates. We need to be the voice for the cause everywhere we go. I think it should not be start with the big rally. It should be start from our dinner table. We should talk to our family members, talk to our family, challenge, talk to our friends, challenges the myths and the jokes that are constantly being made. We should utilize our resources like use of social media as a post regularly challenge dialogue on the social media, share post, start the conversation, split fires but not the fear on the menstruation. We should the another most effective way should be the research and innovate by ourselves. We should find a creative way to communicate, whether it is the through art or through the technology, through sports, where we can advocate. For example, we can organize the street drama to make it more interactive, to join more people on the campaign, facilitate discussion, open conversation with our neighborhoods, engage with our local leaders, ensure that the agenda of the dignified menstruation. And I also strongly believe that we should be the role model by lead by example. For example, we should support the adolescents goals, not to be SM of the menstruation. We should advocate for not calling out period jokes, making sure that the menstrual products are available in even household, college, university, public places. Um, in Not only that, we beyond the goals, we should talk about the menstruator, which should include the LGBTQI community as well, because LGBT
LGBTQI community also menstruate. We often forget about them. So these are the roles that the youth leaders should be played in order to make a dignified menstruation friendly environment. And for other question, how we can involve the local stakeholder, local government, is that we should continuously advocate them. We should lead them by the example. Through example, we should say that we should set the examples such as living with the living living during the menstruation period is a fundamental right of every menstruator. Menstruation menstruation is a cross cutting menstruation is a cross cutting issue. So solving the menstrual discrimination will automatically solve other problem as well. Like the think of patriarchal society will be diminished using this um, uh, thinking, as well as dignified menstruation also involves the environment friendly spaces, so that it also helps in the reduction of the pollution. We should set such example, so that I think it will be possible in order to allocate the budget in the local level, or to raise our voice in the local government. uh, Thank you, that's all.
Okay, so thank you for your insight. I love how you connected that even the LGBTQI community people menstruate, and it's not just girls or women. And so to use a inclusive term that's just incorporates everyone, we use menstruators as term. Thank you for highlighting that. Also, I liked how you introduced dignified menstruation at cross-cutting issues. Yes, it is interconnected to sexual and reproductive health and rights. It is connected to climate justice. It is connected to child marriage. It is connected to gender equality. So yeah, thank you for highlighting that. As we move to the almost end of the session, a few of the key takeaways that I have from your discussions, from your answers. So I'll just like to highlight a few of them. So, dignified menstruation is much more than just access to products or wash facilities. It is about dignity, it is about equality. It is a life cycle approach from womb to tomb, So, since our birth to the end of it, maybe even after that. So, yeah. So, it is about challenging and dismantling the patriarchy and unequal power structures that start shaping our views from early childhood, as you have shared that we know from when we learn something about menstruation from as young as 6 years old. Sorry, 6 years old. So change must begin early. We need to unlearn what we have learned. So and relearn again about the correct things, and then correct information, correct knowledge, so that we can pass it down to our young menstruators. So another point that I have, another key takeaway is education, open dialogue, and male allyship are key for for creating DM friendly environments. Schools, communities need to create space for everyone, both not just menstruators, non-menstruators also, so that we can challenge the silence and this menstrual discrimination together. And at last, menstrual dignified menstruation means transforming the system. Real progress happens only when we lobby for policies, we take actions in communities and government, so that we can work together to create to make menstruation a natural and dignified aspect of our life, not just of the menstruators but of non-menstruators as well. So at the end of the session comes to an end, I want to thank all of our wonderful panelists, Semini, Vincent, Julian, and Dipesh, for their insight and commitment to this cause. I thank you for giving us your time and your insights on the occasion of International Day of Girls Child. So, thank you very much for joining us. I also want to thank our audience for joining this conversation, who are joining us through the Facebook Live. So, at last, what I want to end by saying that dignified menstruation is not a luxury, it is our fundamental human right. By breaking the silence today, means breaking the cycle of menstrual discrimination for generations to come, as you all have highlighted during our discussions. So, together we can transform menstruation from an unspoken emergency into a celebrated step toward justice, equality, and dignity for all, for both menstruators and non-menstruators. Thank you for joining us. Yes.